But nowadays, we've got science, technology. Rob, you're going to have to help me out with the E is in STEM.
Sure. Engineering.
There we go. Engineering and mathematics. I tried to do a nice little transition, and as Ben has problems with teleprompters, I try to do a little smoother transition.
I have problems beyond teleprompters, but that is one of them.
So how was the Science Factory founded? And let us know and tell us about STEM.
Sure. So Science Factory was founded in 2008. Our founder, Jim Bunting, was a community volunteer. He struggled with traditional schooling growing up and went to a science center in Florida, actually, once in the early 2000s, and was just like, this is something I wish I had when I was a kid to help me understand all these scientific concepts in a hands-on, interactive way, especially for kids that sort of struggle with, book learning. I did pretty good in just regular school, but I know so many kids just hate it. And then you sit there and you have to learn things to standards. So what we really try to do is integrated STEM learning, not really separating out the science from the engineering or the math, but all these things together. So our organization was founded right here in downtown Lancaster, PA in 2008. And we've been growing slowly but surely for the past 13 years. We actually did a major expansion at the beginning of 2019. We grew our space by about 30% on the inside. We added a second classroom, our makerspace, which you can see in that last picture there. That's actually the Sky Bridge that's coming hopefully next year or the year after. But we do a lot. And also, as mentioned, we're a nonprofit. Just like Penny, about half of our income comes from paid revenue, paid admissions, and about half of it comes from fundraised dollars, from grants, from individual donations. And all of those things go towards making us accessible to everybody in the community. I won't go through every single access program, but I can tell you there's a lot. For anything where there's a paid component, we also offer scholarships. So for our summer camps coming up, we've got 20 weeks of hands-on summer STEM camps. We do have need-based scholarships available for every single one of those. So, if you're a family that, couldn't afford to send your kid to camp, you absolutely can still come for free to the Science Factory. Another thing that the Ephrata Public Library offers is you can go there or to any public library in Lancaster County and borrow a free family pass to the Science Factory. We are free to the public. Oh, go ahead.
I said, wow, that's great.
Yeah, we have about 1,400 people come every year through the Public Library Pass program. So it's super popular. A lot of libraries have wait lists for them. And I know a lot of local museums do stuff like that. So if you've never checked that out and you're looking for something to do with your family, that's something else you can do at your libraries. We're free to everyone on the first Friday of the month from 5 to 8. Low income families, if you have an EBT SNAP card, you can show that at the front door and get free admission for yourself and up to 5 guests. We are free for all schools in the school district of Lancaster. They can come on free field trips here. We also provide free transportation for them. We're free to all youth-serving nonprofits in Lancaster County. So Boys and Girls Club, YWCA, YMCA, if any of those organizations want to come here on field trips, they can always come for free. We do free pre-K programs 4 times a month here at the Science Factory. We have a coding club for girls aged 8 to 13. That's heavily subsidized, but we do have need-based scholarships available for people that still can't afford the fee for that as well.
Yeah, Rob, so the various scholarships, how would a family, how would a parent go about getting that? What's the process there?
Sure. So if you go to our website and go to the summer camps part, there will be a link where you can download that. Or, if you don't have internet access or computer access and you're in the neighborhood, you can just ask for that at the front desk. I will say summer camps are super full. I know last week we were at about 95% full. But since some of the COVID regulations are being lifted, we were really reducing the class sizes for those camps. But since those are a lot of those restrictions are being lifted here at the end of the month, we're actually adding a few slots. So some of the camps that were sold
good for
out,
you.
we will have some slots available. We're still doing temperature checks. You're still required to wear a mask here in the Science Factory. But we are able to ease up a little bit on some of the class sizes. I think we had them limited to like 12 or 15, but I think they might go up to 18 or 20 here, which is awesome. And we're thrilled. It seems like parents are really ready to get their kids out doing something fun and educational this summer. So we've been absolutely thrilled by the response to some of the camps so far.
Yeah, parents are always ready to get the kids out of the
They
house.
are. They are. Yeah.
What are some of the favorite exhibits at the Science Factory?
Oh, sure. So we recently expanded our water exhibit. That was a huge one that we completed at the beginning of last year. And so that's a big one. Oh, this one that's actually pictured is awesome. That's my favorite one. That's the topographic sandbox. So funny too, we experimented with like 3 different kinds of sand now it's actually jasmine rice. That's what we determined was the best thing to use. But it's really cool. There's a projector from above. And as you sort of like weave your hands through the sand or rice currently, it sort of changes the topography of it. That's actually an image of an upcoming exhibit that we're fundraising for right now. We're expanding our bubble lab. And there'll be a component where you can lift up this ring, put yourself in a bubble. Solar power flower, that one that's on the screen right now, that's coming soon. We were about to expand into an outdoor space last spring. Last March, we were supposed to break ground. And I think you can imagine what happened with that. We'll be breaking ground next summer now and adding a few brand new exhibits outside, just adjacent to the Science Factory. The solar exhibit's one of them. That's one that we designed from scratch with our exhibit partners. A company called Kidzibits out of Minnesota, actually. But we had researched a bunch of other science centers to see what they do with solar power and actually didn't find anything off the shelf that seemed quite cool enough. It seemed like, you adjust these solar panels and, you see something spin or a light bulb lights up. And we just thought that wasn't quite engaging enough. So what we're actually going to do, I thought this was a really creative idea that we came up with, is as you turn it, it'll start playing a piece of music. So if you imagine hearing like a symphony, you might start hearing the strings. And as the power starts to build up, as you optimize how the solar panels are aligned, you'll start to hear different instruments in the symphony. So I thought that was a really cool workaround to make something interactive, teach kids about solar power in kind of a fun, different way. So that's one of the fun challenges of the jobs. I mean, this is a dream job I have here.
Well, that's cool. So, Rob, interesting thing. I'm on the topography exhibit. You mentioned jasmine rice. So imagine this, the bigger gregarious guy is going to relate your jasmine rice to the jasmine rice I use when I make hibachi rice on my camp griddle. Jasmine rice is the best rice for that.
Oh, neat.
It absolutely is bar none the best out of all of the various grains of rice that you could pick from. So that's pretty cool. When you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, jasmine rice. That's what I used to cook.
Interesting. Why is that? Is there a scientific component?
I think. Well, yeah. So, yes,
You
there
could
is.
be an exhibit.
Yeah. I am an exhibit for sure. I believe what it comes down to. So the real trick with making hibachi rice is to kind of cook it right from its regular state, and then throw it in the refrigerator uncovered for ideally about 10, maybe 12 hours. And you get that moisture then out of it. Because if you cook it with the moisture in, it just turns to mush. So if you go to like a hibachi restaurant, you'll see they bring it out on a plate. Very likely that rice was spread out like on a cookie sheet or other flat device in a refrigerator to dry out in advance. And then they put the heat on it and put the flavoring in it, things like that. So, I guess I'll share my other tip to make it sound really good, to make it taste really good, and that's to use sesame oil.
Ah.
Yeah, just smells amazing. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
tastes even better. So at any rate, so we talked about how it was founded. We talked about some of the exhibits. In 2020, obviously, you had to pivot. We understand your annual fundraising event had to go virtual. What are the future plans for that event?
Sure. So in the past, we had an in-person gala, like, most things that you guys would be familiar with. So it's 21 plus here at the Science Factory in the past. And we would typically invite about 8 different local restaurants to come in and do a sampling of food. We would ask them to do some kind of scientific theme to it. Obviously, doing that last October wasn't an option with the pandemic. So we did a big pivot and we did a virtual science trivia event through Zoom. We actually found a trivia host from Pittsburgh that had been doing these Zoom trivia events that were really awesome. I played a couple and we reached out and said, hey, would you consider doing a science-themed one for us? And it was awesome. It was hugely successful. We had more people participate in that than we normally would at our in-person event. We had about 300 people play. We actually had to cut off registrations because we could only handle 50 breakout rooms for teams in Zoom.
Wow.
So we had even people on the wait list, which is totally unheard of for our fundraiser. We also raised just about as much money as we normally would through the in-person fundraiser. So this year with our gala, we're kind of combining the two things. So we are doing in-person science trivia here coming up in October for our gala. We'll have tickets on sale in the next month or two. We wanted to be more accessible than our fundraiser has been in the past. So we are lowering the ticket price. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but I think it's going to be $25 or $30. We are going to partner with our neighbors, Frisco's Peruvian Chicken. They're awesome. They're going to do all the food.
Sounds awesome.
That'll be included. Lancaster homebrewers have been partners of ours. They've done some beer tasting events here. They're going to provide about at least 10 different beers for sampling during the event. And the idea of still doing it with the science trivia is if there's another COVID peak, we can pretty easily pivot back to the virtual event again.
Yeah, very smart.
But for now, we're planning on Thursday, October 21st in person here at the Science Factory. Science trivia, get your team together. Let's do it. Lots of prizes. It's going to be fun.
Nice.
Great.
So, you mentioned making the fundraiser a little more accessible with the ticket price. One thing we talk about often here through the show, because again, this whole show is about connecting the community. I want you to talk in a second about volunteer opportunities. So if still going to a fundraiser, spending that money to go is not there, but you would go for the time, maybe you can connect with Science Factory by volunteering. So, Rob, are there any ways for people to volunteer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So before the pandemic, we're a really small team here. We have just 6 full-time staff members right now at the Science Factory. And before the pandemic, we were assisted by over 200 volunteers. And that would be people out on the floor during field trips, helping kids interpret the science behind some of the exhibits, help during our summer camps. We're super reliant on volunteers for the summer camps, for all of our programs. If you're a woman involved in coding, we are always in need of volunteers for our Girls Code Club. Honestly, volunteers really make our science center possible. So there's lots going on, lots we can work with people on. Especially even if you work for a STEM business and they're interested in getting involved or some volunteer hours, we can definitely customize something. We actually have a summer camp coming up in partnership with High Steel. They've been, as you can imagine, really great partners with us. We share just a lot of goals for inspiring kids to learn more about STEM topics. So they actually send out about a half dozen employees for a whole week, and they teach a whole summer camp on bridge building here at the Science Factory. They have even taught kids how to weld in the past, which is absolutely incredible to see them safely teaching a 10-year-old girl how to weld out on our back courtyard. It's awesome. It's just unbelievable seeing how impactful that is with the kids too. I had a parent call me last year and tell me that her son was taking his little welded piece of metal everywhere with them, and they were going out to his guitar lesson, and he's like, "Mom, I got to go back in. I got to get my welded piece so I can take it and show it to my guitar teacher." And it's just super inspiring. Really nothing like anything else available anywhere else around here. And again, that all came through just volunteer opportunities and people from High that wanted to come out and do something for the community. And we developed this whole week-long program with them that they've been running for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. It's just super successful partnership. So lots of opportunities to get creative here at the Science Factory through volunteerism.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, I mean, you touched on something that I'm very big on. You know, the sense of accomplishment a child gets from being hands-on, creating something is just astounding. And it's not a knock on, you know, your traditional book learning. It's just different. And I think today kids respond to seeing something made by their hand, being active, more so than sitting in a classroom, you know, kind of learning how to take a test. So kudos to what you're doing. You know, anybody listening to this, if you're with these STEM companies, please go to your HR department, go to your ownership, go to your manager, and ask the question, "Hey, listen to this interview I did. How can we get involved?" That's why we're doing this show. It's why we're investing to produce this show. I so firmly believe in this. I've gone to my school board and have challenged them to get more involved with the vocational aspect of the campuses that are in the community. You know, you talk about welding. I mean, just a fantastic career that can transcend from body work to bridges to construction, and it's not just a guy's thing. You know, the girls can do it too, and that's great. So on that note, do you ever need wood at all? Because we have like tons of pallets that
interesting,
kind of like grow.
I might have to get back to you offline on that one. We're doing a woodworking summer camp coming up, and very possible. I'll circle back around to you on that one.
Cool. Yep. We recycle them now, but I'd rather upcycle them and see the kids make something with them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How can our audience support the Lancaster Science Factory?
So, like I said, tons of volunteer opportunities. And, you know, like I said, we're always in need of funding. You can always donate to the Science Factory. Last year was super tough, as you can imagine. So typically we're about 50-50, what we call earned income, unearned income. And that's essentially paid programs versus donated dollars. Last year, you know, we were closed for a third of the year. We had extremely limited attendance throughout the year, so we really, really had to ramp up all of our fundraising. Thankfully, we have a lot of support and passionate donors in the community, but there's also a lot of people out there that don't realize that the Science Factory even is a nonprofit or what we do in the community. We're actually going to be expanding outreach soon. So very soon, actually now even, we are able to go out for free and put on hands-on educational STEM programs at youth-serving nonprofits and all schools in the school district of Lancaster. So if you work for a youth-serving nonprofit in Lancaster County, we can come out and do free programs, and that's exactly what your donations help support, make possible. If people want to have a conversation about funding a specific program, please reach out to me directly. And like I said, we're fundraising for some new exhibits, the outdoor courtyard coming up next year, and a couple other exhibits. So again, please feel free to reach out to me directly.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for sharing all of that. We're going to start off our little call to action of donating. Mm-hmm. We're going to donate $125 as well to the Science Factory.
Thank you, guys.
So we'll get that started. Hopefully that can go towards putting on a class. We know it's not a lot each time, but we do this consistently each week. Again, our commitment to giving back to our community that supports our business. It's the least that we can do. So I hope that pushes something forward there for you. So
awesome. Thank you, guys.
Remember, this show is also available as a podcast. You can find the links at LancasterConnects.com. Please like and share this video. Leave a comment. Tell a friend about this show. We would greatly appreciate that. There on the screen, you can see the various podcast icons, so it might remind you, oh yeah, I listened to that one. Search up Lancaster Connects in that one. We'll get you square.